This is a crash course on Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I'm Melissa, and I will be taking you through the consequences of secrecy in A Tale of Two Cities. Throughout the book, one of the characters named Madame Defarge had a secret that was getting to her, which destroyed her to become a violent person. Her secret was about her sister being raped by a man who was related to Darnay, which caused Madame Defarge to want vengeance for everyone. Madame Defarge wants vengeance on people because of what happened to her sister, so she records people's names who should be executed during the French Revolution. This theme of secrecy relates to the poem The Chimney Sweepers by William Blake, because in the poem there is evil presented as if the boy Tom was afraid of evil, which made him have a dream of all the things said in the poem, which caused the boy to keep things inside like Madame Defarge did when the event with her sister occurred, which eventually led Madame Defarge and Tom's hatred in their own ways. It would vary between the two because Madame Defarge wanted to execute people due to her hatred, and Tom was trapped inside his dream due to the hatred of his mother leaving, which was the secrets of the two people held inside them to cause the secrecy. So essentially, having secrets causes people to become violent because they keep everything inside.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and I'm going to be discussing the theme of violence throughout A Tale of Two Cities and how it reflects the social expectations and commentary of the time. As you read the novel, you can see that Dickens supports the French Revolution and that he agrees that liberation is necessary. It's difficult to identify, though, if he supports the violence that is popular along the Revolution or not. You can tell that Dickens identifies the revolutionaries as evil, but he supports their need for liberation. Violence occurs so many times throughout the book that it is almost impossible not to find it important. The focus of violence is specifically aimed more towards the causes of it in the Revolution. A good example of this is shown in this quote. This is from an instance where there is a scramble after a wine cask breaks outside Defarge's wine shop. The entire passage draws huge parallels to blood and violence, something that is mirrored throughout the whole novel. Something that is emphasized is the author's empathy for peasants and their perseverance in the revolution. This can be related to our essential questions: what does it mean to be an individual and a member of society, and what factors support or destroy the society's fabric? This idea of empathy is also mentioned in William Blake's poem, The Chimney Sweeper. In the poem, the audience is expected to feel bad for the children who have been abandoned and now have to do servant work for other families, yet you also feel proud of them for persevering and having hope that their futures will be bright. This is similar to the violence in A Tale of Two Cities because the reader feels pain for revolutionaries and peasants, but also pride for their effort.
Hey, I'm Sophia, and I'll be talking about the consequences of death on society, which is a prominent theme throughout A Tale of Two Cities. Even in the beginning of the book, Dickens touches on death and dying, which makes sense considering the time period and the events that occur throughout the novel, such as everything seen during and around the time of the French Revolution, the French Revolution itself being a consequence of death. However, what's interesting to note is Dickens' tone during the passages on death. He states that the killings done by the revolutionaries are both good and bad, leading the reader to believe that Dickens' thoughts and social commentary on the matter of death are ambiguous, although it is undoubtable that the overall theme of death is important to the novel. Near the beginning of the book, Dickens capitalizes the D in death throughout a whole passage. This quote tells the reader multiple things about the novel. Firstly, the capitalization shows the reader the importance of the word and also brings attention to it. Second, it gives the reader an idea of what the current setting and situation in the novel is like. Lastly, it sets up an idea of what a prominent theme will be throughout the novel, that theme being death and its consequences. William Blake's London poem has a similar setting to the novel, and the feeling the reader gets isn't much different either. In the poem, the narrator walks the streets of Victorian-era London, commenting on the sad and fearful faces of the people he sees. A Tale of Two Cities takes place in both England and France, but the setting and description of the 18th century life scene in the poem could easily be used to describe the death and despair seen in A Tale of Two Cities.
I'm Norn. The theme of the possibility of resurrection and redemption is worth noting. In Tale of Two Cities, the term resurrection refers to the spiritual renewal of an individual as well as the renewal of society, specifically French society. In smaller scale resurrections, characters are transformed from dismal characters into moral and spiritually renewed individuals. One of these characters is Sidney Carton, who started off as a lazy and insensitive person but ends up giving up his own life in order to secure a better life for another family. This, in a way, is a paradox, because one cannot die but be resurrected at the same time. However, Carton makes it possible as he dies in order to resurrect his soul through his heroism. In larger scale resurrections, an entire society is reborn into a better version of it. In the French Revolution, the people of France wanted to escape from a corrupt regime. Throughout the book, Dickens criticizes the immorality and exploitation exhibited by the French aristocracy, and at the same time addresses the inhumanity of the revolutionaries seeking freedom from that same aristocracy. However, at the end of the book, Dickens includes a vision by soon-to-be guillotine Carton that foreshadows a newer and better France as a result of the revolution. The reader comes to the conclusion that leaving behind the old regime resurrected a new and improved French society. Similarly, in the poem The Goblin Market, Laura is resurrected from her state of illness. Her actions of giving into her sexuality scarred her reputation due to Victorian society's harshness on women. However, in the end, Laura is resurrected and redeems herself by passing on what she learned to her children. The poem's criticism of Victorian society pieces together Dickens' ultimate message. Redemption and transformation is possible. That humans have the capacity to change despite society's bitter ways that make it seem impossible. Even if the past drags behind, personal and societal renewal is attainable.
Free created using Powtoon.